So as you've likely already seen on Street Racing Channel, we traveled to Indiana last weekend to Brown County Dragway for the fall edition of War in the Woods. It's one of the kids' favorite events of the year, but for me personally, it's sort of a love-hate relationship. It's stressful, and there tends to be a lot of spectators on the starting line. Nothing out of the ordinary for no prep events in general, but it's become a running joke that this event should probably be called Drunk in the Woods. What's happening, Matt?
What's up? What's up?
The official finish line guy.
Yeah, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
Did you bring your boxing gloves?
Man, I always bring my boxing gloves. I bring mace, I bring my pistol, I bring it all. You never know.
I was doing my best to try and make my rounds and say hi to everybody, but everybody on the stage was extremely busy. So I made my way over to the Strange tent to say hi to my buddy Jake. He's the guy you want to talk to if you need some hot boy breaks. Look who it is, Jake from Strange Farm, baby. Woo! Signing autographs?
I can for you.
Jake was picking on me because my hat has seen better days. So he had me pick out a brand new Strange hat and told me to get a haircut. What's going on, Pops?
Not much, except the age and the rent, and it keeps going up.
Although the kids were struggling with the Falcon and the S10 all weekend, the problems ranged from electrical connections to broken push rods, but they did manage to have a good time, and Billy managed to get down to the semifinals in the truck. Overall, the crowd there was awesome. And thankfully this year, there weren't any fights on the starting line that I'm aware of, although Limpy had to tell people to get back about 1,000 times. Both the boys made it through first and second round on Friday night, which puts them in the main show on Saturday. So everything was looking pretty positive for us Saturday morning. Unfortunately, there was an accident on the starting line that injured some spectators. Thankfully, no one was killed, but one person was life-flighted with head injuries. The whole ordeal really upset me because some of these people came to see the kids race and maybe don't know what to expect on the starting line. Personally, I was just happy to get the hell out of there and go home in one piece. So that brings us to Sunday, and it's the first day of the Hot Rod Power Tour at National Trail Raceway not far from our house. The Power Tour is a drag and drive event, a lot like Sick Week, and there are cars from all over the country getting ready to head out for Indianapolis on Monday. There's a little bit of everything competing, from tube chassis pro mods to daily driven muscle cars and everything in between. It's a much different atmosphere than what we're used to at no prep events, especially no preps like War in the Woods. Typically the people that show up to Power Tour are a little older and aren't there to drink, which is something that makes events like this much more enjoyable to me. Anyway, while the action's heating up the track next to our house, Vicky and I were headed down to Buckeye Lake to have dinner and meet up with Billy, Molly, and Mr. Wyatt. We were excited to see him after a weekend away from home. We all met up at Papa Boo's down at the lake. Afterwards, we all went back to the house so Wyatt could cruise around in his little Chevy pickup. That's when we got a 911 call from one of the racers at the Power Tour asking if we could help weld up a fuel tank. Billy told him to go ahead and bring it on over, but he wasn't real keen on the idea of welding a fuel tank after the last tank repair literally blew up in his face. So we all met back at the house after dinner and let Wyatt drive around in his old Chevy pickup truck while Billy and I backed the 255 Chevys out of the garage and got everything gathered up for the TIG welder so we can work on this tank. At this point, I wasn't sure exactly who was coming over, but it didn't take long for me to realize who it was and that they were fully capable of welding this fuel tank up themselves. If you follow Sick Week or the Power Tour or any of the other drag and drive events, these people need no introduction. But for those of you who don't know, this is Dennis Taylor and his daughter Alex, and this is the fuel tank out of her big block Chevy twin-turboed 200-mile-an-hour 55 Chevy drag and drive car. How about your dad starting his own channel?
It's interesting. So we've been trying to get him to for a while, but he just hasn't done it. And so it's like, it works because I'm not there half the time and he's always doing stuff. So it's like,
right.
Just film it.
So your sister's helping film and edit for him?
She is a little, him and my mom filmed everything and they're trying to learn the editing process.
Very good.
Teach him.
Very good.
But right now she's helping him edit.
Good.
So, yeah.
That's going to be great. I shared his first video the other day.
Oh, thank you. He's doing decent with it. So, well, thank you. He's enjoying it right now. So.
Once Dennis had the tank repairs completed, we brought it up to the front shop to use compressed air to check for leaks. Once Dennis was satisfied the tank was fixed, it was time to head back to the track. See you, buddy. You're welcome. They're hoping to get the 55 put back together tonight so they can get some rest and get back up tomorrow and start all over again. So that brings us to Monday morning, and Tanner and I are trying to get the Monte Carlo ready to take to Bypolr Performance tomorrow. We just need to get this new CVF accessory drive installed. What?
Where's my drone?
It's in here in the shop. There's nothing wrong with it, not a scratch.
Why is that hard to believe?
You came just in time.
For what?
You can help Tannerite figure out this accessory drive.
No, you can get your drone and leave. It's okay.
It's a Monday. He's not feeling you today.
You have a bad day.
I didn't have enough sleep all weekend to do with you today, so.
I say that on a daily basis every time I arrive here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, we've got this accessory drive we've got to put together. And Tanner's not sure if he's had enough sleep to deal with this or not.
No, I did yesterday. I had a great night of sleep last night.
Just not enough to deal with Bucko today, huh?
Should be fairly easy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, see? One plate, everything bolts to it.
Check this out.
What's this? Water
This
pump?
is your electric water pump. But it's cracked.
Oh my god.
Oh, look at that.
Nice. So what'd you do this weekend?
I worked. I wasn't out breaking the shit. You didn't
Nobody
hear your
broke anything.
You didn't hear your tailpipe dragging?
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Those roads in Indiana suck.
Well, we know that. All it was a broken dog bone on the back.
Well, that's an easy fix. Did you call Chumpy?
I called him, yesterday, and I called him Saturday after you complained about your brakes, and I had him pull up when he sold us the last set. They're 2 seasons old, so yeah, they're trash.
If you put brakes on my trailer again, you are not to touch it with your power grease gun.
I don't do that.
Oh my
No.
God. I film you doing it every time, and you do it every time.
No.
Every time.
No.
Without fail.
No.
Without fail.
No.
But yeah, my trailer definitely needs brakes.
I was the last one to put them on, and they've lasted 2 years, so.
No, they lasted 2 miles. They've sucked ever since you put them on because you greased them to death.
No, I didn't. If there was grease in them, they'd be all over the backing plates and everywhere. That should be oozing out.
It was. You cleaned them all off, and they've
I
never been
didn't
right
clean
ever since.
shit off.
Every set of freaking brakes you've ever put on a trailer, you've greased them to death.
Not really, because I have a whole line of customers. I just did a set for a guy. You know what? He pulls trailer every day. Not a problem.
Did you take a power grease gun to the hubs and blow the seals
I
out?
never do.
You always do. I filmed you doing
No.
it.
Set Kenny over there that one time and had him pump them full of grease, and then he started blaming it on me.
That is absolutely not true.
Let's go back through the footage, because I have an archive. You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I will.
After arguing with Buckwheat over trailer brakes for 45 minutes, I finally needed to get on the road. I planned to go up to the machine shop today to help Bob get Billy's big block fired up on the dyno. Billy's definitely been missing having the Nova this summer for frontside races like War in the Woods. However, before I head to Bob's, I've got one quick errand to run. Billy and Molly are down at the track watching power tour cars with Wyatt, but they're out of some much needed supplies. So I decided to stop by the track on the way to Bob's and drop off some diapers for Wyatt. Plus, I figured while I was down there, I'd check in on Alex and Dennis and see how things are going with the 55. Thankfully, the staff at Trails allowed me to drive the Malibu into the pits so I could hunt down the kids and hopefully catch Alex and her dad before they head out to Indianapolis this afternoon. There were a lot of really nice 55, 6, and 7s at Power Tour, along with plenty of every other kind of classic muscle car. I strolled around the pits in the Malibu for about 35 minutes looking for either my kids or Dennis and his daughter. In that short amount of time, I got to check out some really cool stuff. These drag and drive events are like a car show with a test and tune and a fast-paced family reunion at each track they visit. There's everything from full-blown tube chassis cars to daily driven muscle cars and everything in between, with enough vendor support at each track to keep everybody's hot rods up and running. Now, even though I only had about 35 minutes to check out all the cars and trucks, I really like this old C10 pickup, but my top 2 favorites by far were of course a pair of 55 Chevys, the 2-lane blacktop tribute car, and of course Mike Finnegan's Hemi-powered stick-shift 2-door sedan 55 that he calls Blasphemy. The very first time I'd ever seen this car was at PRI. Anyway, I was just about ready to give up looking for Alex Taylor's 55 when I stumbled across it in the only aisle that I hadn't driven down yet. I carefully chose somewhere to park the car where I'm not going to block anybody's pit area and walked back over to Alex's pit when I ran into Molly and the baby, who seems happy to be there. She made a lick?
Yeah, it looked pretty good. I mean, she had to pedal it a couple times, but like 210 miles an hour. So.
You hanging in there, kid?
I'm trying. The car's kicking my butt, man.
After my deliveries were completed, it was time for me to head north up to Mount Vernon to go check in on Bob and help him get Billy's big block fired up using this ATM E85 Dominator to feed it. Since the block is filled in Billy's 540, we decided to use the ATM E85 carburetor off his 69 C10 project to help keep the engine cool during the break-in process. The E85 actually chills the intake manifold on a carbureted application, and this helps pull heat out of the heads and the block. This is a big part of how I get away running a 13-to-1 compression small block in my Malibu without overheating with the air conditioning blowing ice cold. The water jackets in Billy's big block have been filled to help with strength and rigidity, and also to remove the water passages from the deck surface of the block. This eliminates water from getting into the cylinders in the event that we lift ahead. However, it does require the car to be pushed or pulled to the lanes instead of being driven like the S10 or a street car like my Malibu. It also means we can't run it for very long on the dyno. But our main focus today is making sure that the engine has adequate oil pressure, doesn't have any oil leaks, doesn't have any valve train noise or vibrations, and most importantly, doesn't smoke like a freight train. I went ahead and put a fresh set of plugs in the engine while Bob was busy bolting down the ATM E85 Dominator carburetor on top of a 2-inch spacer to give room for the carburetor linkage to clear the fuel rails. Finally, after checking for fuel leaks and to make sure we had the firing order correct on the distributor cap, it was time to spin the engine over and hear the big block fire for the first time. Sounds pretty good.
It does.
No smoke.
No smoke.
Good oil pressure. No rattles, no knocks.
Nice smooth acceleration.
Very smooth. When I was revving it with the throttle out there, there's no vibration. I mean, it's very, very smooth.
Yep.
Sounds really good in idle. The valve train sounds good. I think Junior will be happy.
I hope so.
Especially when he puts it in the car and it doesn't smoke like a freaking freight train. So I'm pretty happy. I'm excited for him because he's been missing this thing.
Yep.
Or a thing, a big block. He's got, I don't know how many now, but this thing has been trouble since day one. But hopefully trouble no more. Knock on wood, huh, Uncle Bob?
Yeah. I don't particularly like it being filled.
I know. We can't make a pull on it. We really, like, we put the E85 carburetor on it, let it drool a little bit to try and keep it cool so we can, you know, fire it up and put some heat cycles on it. But
try to get the rings of seat. And,
yeah.
You know, and make it wear in gently, you know, so it,
yeah. Because it's not going to get treated gentle once it goes in the car.
No. No.
But at least we know it doesn't have any oil leaks. We don't have any major problems with it.
No.
You know, and it runs clean. It runs smooth.
Yep.
I don't see anything leaking out of it as far as the oil. There's no water to leak, so. Little E85 carburetor. That helped.
Yeah.
Thank you to ATM for that.
ATM.
Because that's the carburetor off Billy's C10 pickup. That's the one they built for his blower. And we just bolted it on there just so we could start it up. Because the ethanol chills the intake and it helps keep the engine cooler. It'll run a lot cooler on that than it will on gas just to fire it up. Especially since the block is filled and there's no water in it. So I'm calling it good. We'll put a few more heat cycles on it.
More heat cycles on it. Let it cool off, maybe then later this evening I'll start it, or do it again tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Run it through some heat cycles. Here on the dyno, doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. The timing's at 40 degrees. It doesn't seem to like anything less than about 38.
Yeah.
Like it just does not like it, but we'll see.
Well, let Junior figure that out.
Yeah, he knows where he wants it at.
Yeah.
So this brings us to Tuesday morning. I had moved the Monte Carlo into the main shop and got it cleaned up so that it's ready for its trip to Michigan today. You honestly don't even have to drive this car to get it dirty. A black car is like a dust, dirt, and fingerprint magnet, and it shows everything. Thankfully, Tanner was here to help me get it loaded on the trailer and tied down. I'm really anxious to see how the car sets once all the weight's in it and we get the spring rates corrected to lower its altitude. Anyway, after saying goodbye to Vicky, it was time to bring up directions and hit the road. Bypolr Performance is about 40 minutes north of downtown Detroit, depending on the traffic. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get out of the driveway until about noon, so that puts me in downtown Detroit for rush hour at about 4 o'clock. But honestly, I'm really not sweating. A 4-hour drive by myself in the truck will give me some time to think and reflect about how blessed I am for this weather today and to be hauling my Monte Carlo to Michigan to drop it off at a race shop instead of digging ditches out in the field. Although some days I wouldn't mind 8 hours in the excavator by myself, I'd still rather do this 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. So here we are northbound and down. We are headed to Michigan, up to Bypolr Performance, and I couldn't be more excited. I've never built a car like this. I've never had the opportunity to do anything like this, and so this is my first attempt at building something of this magnitude. And so obviously, as you go through life and you do things, you learn as you go and you get better as you do things. And so this is my first attempt and hopefully won't be my last. I have a lot of different things that I would like to do before I'm 6 feet in the dirt. I got to admit that a 78 Monte Carlo was never really high on my priority list, but I've always liked that body style. I always thought, man, if I could ever find a black one that was this clean, I'd love to have one. And you don't come across them very often. Most of these cars have been destroyed or just totally rusted out. Their survival rate, I guess what I should say, I don't think is very high. But this one somehow had survived, and the story behind the car, the way it became what it is now, pretty remarkable. A friend of mine happened to purchase the car, and the car was originally silver. And he was going to paint it back silver, and a guy came along and said, hey, I'll give you $20,000 for this car if you paint it black and put it on Dayton wire wheels to make it look like the training day car. So he did. He put Dayton wire wheels on it, painted the car black. It was beautiful. The guy came to pick it up, and something happened with the key switch and the steering column. It locked up and he couldn't start the car. He said, well, call me when you get the column fixed. I'll come back and buy the car. And so my friend who had the car did that. He fixed the column, and when he called the guy back 2 or 3 days later, he had passed away from a heart attack. So that's how the car came to be what it is. And it's an unfortunate circumstance that the guy passed away and he never got to enjoy the car. But if it wasn't for his vision as having the car painted black, it would have never been black, and I would have never bought it. If it was silver, I wouldn't have bought it. That body style Monte Carlo, in my opinion, they look good black, and I don't think I would have ever bought the car had it not been black. The car just has a look and a presence to it with the sweeping body lines, all of the chrome trim. The car just has an elegant look to it, but also painted black. It looks like a gangster. It literally looks like an old early 80s, late 70s mafia car or something, something that a gangster would drive. And so that's what I'm building. I'm building a gangster. Now, if the plan is to build a gangster 78 Monte Carlo, it seems almost inevitable that it should be transformed from a lethargic, underpowered testament to our dependency on foreign oil to a fire-breathing 1,500 plus horsepower street car in Detroit. However, the shop we're headed to is just northwest of downtown in a suburb called Auburn Hills. This distinguished area of Michigan is renowned for retail centers, entertainment, and manufacturing. Nestled into Oakland County along the Clinton River, it's revered as one of the nicest areas to live and work within the state of Michigan. And it just so happens to be where my Monte Carlo will be getting a fully custom turbo kit designed and built using twin 80mm turbos from ForcedInductions.com and titanium piping from Bypolr Performance. The cars up there in that shop were so nice I was having second thoughts as to whether my Monte Carlo was worthy to share shop space with them. But regardless, as I was pulling in, Joe and his guys were making room in the shop for what's likely to become one of the world's most expensive 1978 Monte Carlo builds ever.
Look at this guy.
What's going on, Bill? How you doing?
I brought you a present.
What'd you bring me?
A big black turd.
Let's go take a look at it.
We managed to get my Monte Carlo unloaded off the trailer and pushed in the shop, where Joe and his guys were getting their first look at this thing up close in person.
All right, so here's what you're working with.
The first thing I see is room.
Yeah, it's got a lot of room.
I know Mitch is excited about having some room too. When we go to design this thing, we've got a couple of really good ideas for it. But obviously, the first thing is just checking our real estate, which clearly we've got quite a bit of it. So. One of the first things that I was talking to you about was just presentation. The first thing that we're doing when we're looking at looking at an engine bay like this is we're just looking at all the lines, looking for symmetry, looking for tells on the accessories of the motor or the motor itself that tell us what kind of turbo kit this thing wants. So the first thing that we're thinking about, as far as presentation is concerned, is making sure that when somebody walks up on it, they see symmetry, they see flow.
Yeah.
But again, as we talked last time, function is got to be the biggest key.
Key for me is function, ease of maintenance, because I am going to draw, I know this is a nice looking car, but I'm going to drive the shit out of this thing.
Sure. The issue for us is knowing where to stop, because we start getting carried away. We see something, we start getting carried away with the details. So when this thing leaves here, I want it to be a mind bender. We're sure that it is. So we've got some really good ideas up our sleeves.
Once Joe, Bobby, and Mitch get to brainstorming and putting their individual ideas together on how this turbo kit would best fit the engine bay, there's no telling what is about to happen. These guys are not just fabricators, they're craftsmen. And nothing that leaves this shop is anything short of incredible. And with material from Vibrant and turbos from Jose, I'm betting this thing will run as good as it looks.
What do we got here?
So Jose, a good friend, supplied us from Forced Inductions turbos, by the way. We've used a lot of his stuff on our feature cars. He's been really good to us, good to our customers. He supplied us with a brand new pair of 8087 GT42s, brand new. They've got a brand new 10-blade compressor, 9-blade turbine. They've got billet backing plates here, and he's actually featuring a new dual ball bearing cast aluminum lightweight center section.
Yeah, I saw that.
So these, he got the new blankets on there and everything. So these things are probably going to be able to make north of 1700 horsepower on your application if you wanted to. But this is a brand new offering from Forced Induction, and you're the first person that we've installed these on. So Jose definitely went out of his way for you on this one. We really appreciate it.
He's helped us out quite a bit down at the shop with Billy's S10 and things like that in the past. So we've got a really good relationship with Jose. And it's kind of funny. His name's Jose, but when you talk to him on the phone, he just sounds like a redneck.
Exactly. Which is actually why we get along. So, yeah.
After checking out these badass turbos that Jose sent up to us, we went over what needs to be done with the cooling system, power steering lines, AC lines, and even some wiring.
So you've got a wiring guy.
Yeah, so I've got a wiring guy. His name is Jaron. He's one of the most detailed guys I've ever met. And as I was just telling you, we're going over this engine bay, and one of the things that we'd like to do is prioritize cleanup, tuck things away. And
so what you're saying is you don't want me to wrap the wiring in yellow corrugated sheathing.
What I'm saying is we can go ahead and pull this right back on the trailer now. That's what direction we're going. So, no, I was just saying Jaron's going to come in this, and he's going to see this tomorrow morning. I can already tell, and I'm going to get a text before I wake up, and he's going to say, I'm going to have this done in 4 hours. It's going to be perfect.
What about red sheathing so it matches the seats?
All right, Bill, let's close this up here.
Obviously, Joe has some concerns about how this car might be finished after it leaves his shop. and he wants the wiring to be as sanitary as the rest of the work being done under the hood.
So Vibrant decided to get on board with this deal. We've been talking with Cassius, Bruno, awesome guys out there. They supplied, I can't even tell you how thankful. I was shocked when this showed up. Donovan is another friend of mine from Vibrant. We've been talking about this. We've been so excited about this project for months. They supplied their brand new baffled catch cans, which we've been running. And mind you, what makes me so excited about this is prior to Vibrant getting on board with this build, we were paying retail for them in the first place just because we like the quality of their product, we like their service, everything that they offer. They're just quality people as well. We formed a great relationship with them. So I was clear to tell them, hey, we're gonna go with your stuff no matter what. But being the people that they were, they couldn't have been more excited to jump on top of this build. And the things that they supplied is just mind-bending. All of this here is boxes of titanium. I mean, they're supplying all the header flanges, the collectors, multiple of their HD clamp assemblies so that we're not doing any silicone, no worm clamps, nothing. Everything is gonna be hard mounted. But this is everything that you need. And I don't think people realize, maybe scale back on this so that you can see how much material this really is. I don't think people realize how much it takes to put something like this together with the amount of piping that's gonna be in an engine bay of this size, intercooler and all that stuff. Also, Vibrant supplied the intercooler cores, so we're going to be hand fabricating the intercooler, like I told you before, to work in conjunction with that radiator setup so we can get some symmetry in there. But we're so thankful that Vibrant decided to jump on.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Can't thank those guys enough.
Yeah. We'll continue to use them, and as you know, we're already scheduled to be featured in their booth at PRI for 2024, so we're creating a nice relationship that's going to be going on for quite a long time, and we're excited to keep setting the bar higher and higher for them and doing things like this for you, Bill, in the hopes that they keep coming back and expecting more out of us so that we can deliver a little bit more.